Tonight, 10 Democratic candidates will take the stage for the first debate of the 2020 election. Because of the crowded field of Democrats, the DNC is breaking the 20 candidates who qualified for the debates into two groups of 10, spread out over 2 nights. As Laura Podesta reports, this is the largest Democratic presidential debate in 15 years.
10 presidential hopefuls take the stage in Miami tonight, all looking to separate themselves from the pack of more than 24 candidates battling for the Democratic nomination in 2020.
If you're a lesser-known candidate, you have to make some kind of mark in this debate because it will be a predicate for fundraising and media attention.
Tonight's participants include Senators Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, and Amy Klobuchar, as well as New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke, and former HUD Secretary Julian Castro. The candidates will all try to convince voters that they should be the one to challenge President Trump in 2020, but they'll have just 60 seconds to answer questions and 30 seconds for follow-ups.
The opportunity for a candidate to break through is pretty slim. You're not going to get a lot of time.
Hello, Miami! Senator Elizabeth Warren leads the polls among tonight's debaters. The Massachusetts lawmaker sees this as a chance to tell voters why she's running.
The reason I'm in this race is because we have a government right now that works great for billionaires and giant corporations. It's just not working for the rest of us.
The 20 candidates who qualified were chosen to appear each night at random. Former Vice President Joe Biden, along with Senators Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris, are among the more prominent candidates taking the stage tomorrow night. Laura Podesta, CBS News, Miami.
Joining me now is Larry Sabato. He's founder and director of the University of Virginia Center for Politics. Larry, thanks so much for joining us. When you look at the rules for this debate, just 60 seconds to answer questions and 30 seconds for follow-ups, how are campaigns supposed to prep their candidates in order to make an impression on viewers?
They're supposed to prep them to be short. And believe me, as a college professor, I have complete sympathy for the candidates. We speak in 50-minute intervals in the classroom, so it's awfully tough to boil down to sound bites. But if they're going to make a difference and if they're going to be remembered by viewers, they're going to have to be short, and the zingers will have to be something that connects with the audience in a way that helps the candidate.
So our Ed O'Keefe caught up with one candidate who'll be on stage tonight, Julian Castro, and Ed asked him about his expectations for the debate. Let's listen.
I'll have played somewhat nice with each other over the last 7 months. Do the gloves need to come off tonight a little bit?
Well, I think what you're going to see tonight is some contrast. That's the nature of a debate. I hope that people don't become personal. I don't think anybody's going to be personal tonight. But policy-wise, sure, you're probably going to see some distinctions, because that's what politics is, right? We want to let the American people know what the differences are among us, and also what the similarities are. I've always believed that it's fine, on policy to stress your differences as long as you try not to get personal about it.
All right, so what do you think about what Castro said there? Do you think we will see some personal attacks?
Yes, but here's the twist. Because this is one of those strange 2-night debates with 10 candidates each night, what you may see are personal attacks from one night on candidates who are appearing the second night. And then on the second night, some of those candidates may choose to respond. I think obviously Joe Biden could be the target of some of this. If there's no personal interaction, frankly, and it's just based on policy details, I think you'll lose a lot of the audience. Let's be honest about it.
Well,
it has
people
to be
do
more
want to see
interesting than that.
They do want to see a little fire, that's for sure. And I'm certain that there probably will be some fire aimed at the president. Wouldn't you agree?
That's where the attacks will come in that will sell. The audience is going to be disproportionately Democratic. That's always true. When you have Democrats debating, Democrats watch. When Republicans debate, Republicans watch. Well, what do Democrats want to hear? They want to hear robust attacks on the president they probably hate more than any other modern president. And that's what I think the candidates will give them.
All right, let's look at the group of Democrats that will be on stage tonight. Elizabeth Warren is the current polling leader of the group. On stage with her will be 9 other candidates polling in the single digits. So is there anyone in that group you have your eye on tonight who could challenge her?
Yes. Foremost would be Cory Booker, Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey. He was expected to be a front runner in this campaign and has not been. This is his chance. Now, he may choose to go after Elizabeth Warren or not. He'll certainly have to go after some people in the second debate. And then I think you also want to watch former Congressman Beto O'Rourke, who again was expected to do better and can do well in debates. He trained against Ted Cruz. And finally, Amy Klobuchar, senator from Minnesota. She is an impressive candidate, but one of the women who has not received much attention compared to Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris.
So let's talk about what these candidates may discuss. I mean, in the newest article up on your Crystal Ball site today, your team writes that single-issue debates aren't unprecedented. Walk us through the history and what is the type of issue that has the potential to dominate the debates?
Good questions. We've actually had almost 200 primary debates, counting Democrats and Republicans together, just since 1948. That's when they started. Most of the debates have been since 1980. Most of the debates have been multi-topic debates, so you couldn't focus it on something. But here's what's interesting. The very first debate, I won't go into the details, in 1948 was a Republican debate centered on this question: should the Communist Party in the United States be abolished, be forbidden from public gatherings? It seems kind of ridiculous now. If we were to do a single issue debate now, it would either be on immigration or on climate change, given what the Democrats have been talking about.
Absolutely. All right. So we know that much of the focus is on the debate tonight, but I'd also like to ask you about Maine's Democratic House Speaker Sarah Gideon, who is challenging Republican Senator Susan Collins. You have that race rated as leaning Republican. I mean, now that we know that who the top challenger is, should we expect a competitive race?
Absolutely. When I say lean, I mean it could be just slightly. And I think in this case, Senator Susan Collins, who arguably is the last moderate Republican in the Senate, is going to have a very tough race that will depend on how Maine goes in the presidential election. Sarah Gideon, the House Speaker, is a very strong candidate. She will be funded substantially, probably matching whatever Susan Collins can raise. So this is important. And 2 years ago, in 2016, every single Senate race went in the direction of the presidential contest in that state. We're polarized. People vote for the same party from the White House to the courthouse. So that's what Susan Collins has to worry about.
All right, Larry Sabato, we thank you so much for sharing your insight with us.
Thank you.